Well, we know there's a new administration in Washington, D.C., and they brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. But the reality is, however, that there's only so much any government can do, and that if you really want to make America healthy again, that has to start at home with each and every one of us, and that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from the Wellness Company doctors on this network all the time, and you know their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy. The Wellness Company gives you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens. You don't see these things coming, folks. These viruses, they sweep through and you don't see them, but they help keep you prepared with their series of prescription medical kits that contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of those medications. Very important there. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more that can help you stay healthy and live a more prosperous and satisfying life. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Go to www.twc.health/voice today and order. That's twc.health/voice. Use that promo code VOICE and save 10%. All right, our next guest, former Chief of the U.S. Border Patrol, was Customs and Border Protection's Acting Deputy Commissioner, and was nominated by President Trump in 2018 to be ICE Director. He's the only person to have led both ICE and CBP for Homeland Security. Let's bring back Ron Vitiello. Good to have you back, my friend, Ron. So update us on, so we had Oscar El Blue Ramirez come on yesterday, and now there are 3 separate people who work for the Mexican government who've been assassinated by the cartels. Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, says it's against the law to go after the cartel. Is she wrong? Is she right? And the reason why I ask is it affects so many people on this side of the border.
I've not heard what she said. It is clearly against the law in Mexico, and certainly no barriers to the United States Justice Department pursuing people who are involved in organized crime, whether that organized crime is sponsored in Mexico or Russia or Iran, or wherever it is. And so I'm not sure what she said, but I will tell you that there is a full court press as it relates to the Homeland Security Task Force pursuing targets that affect behavior in the United States, mainly the importation of drugs and human trafficking across our southwest border. That's a concentration. They obviously have capability for other worldwide threats, but the cartels in Mexico are definitely feeling the heat. I think the most egregious example, or the example that has the most impact that I see every day, is the low level of numbers of people who are attempting to cross the border every single day. We went from literally thousands to a couple of hundred a day. Many of those are being not only arrested and caught, but prosecuted and removed very quickly. So behavior has changed at the border. And we're seeing these cartels now try to entice people using lies and misinformation to cross the border illegally, even though they know full well that the end game is a jail cell and a quick flight home.
So the fewer people coming across the border, yet it seems like more Americans, liberal Americans, are protesting ICE activities, officers arresting perps inside the country. Why do you think this is happening?
Well, it's the propaganda. The left has succeeded in convincing themselves and maybe other Americans that it's not illegal to be in the country after crossing the border illegally if you don't commit a crime. Well, that's just not the way the laws work. The law on the books that says you can't enter the country illegally has been on, in its current form since the 50s and well before that, when Immigration and Nationality Act was created. So the left has succeeded in saying, hey, that's not a crime. In fact, the former secretary of DHS was telling people that if they're in the country illegally, and that's all they are, that's the only crime they've committed, that ICE wasn't going to look for them. Well, that has obviously changed in a dramatic way. This President Trump got elected on securing the border, making the homeland safe, and deporting the upwards of 20 million people who came in during the last administration. And so the left doesn't like that. I'm going to tell you that my opinion about that is they don't like it is because it's being successful.
Right.
You're seeing crime go down in places like Chicago and D.C. You're seeing record numbers of people being arrested and removed. And you're seeing unprecedented numbers of people who are electing to leave the United States without pressure from the government, other than the threat of being arrested on our terms and on the government's terms instead of individual terms. So about 1.5 million people have raised their hand and said, you know what, I need help to leave, or I'm leaving on my own.
It's a great campaign.
With or without
it's a great campaign. Kristi Noem, Homeland Security Secretary, is on a horse saying, I'm on a horse, but here we're at an airport, and you're going to be on that airport. You're going to be on that runway home and you're not coming back unless you deport yourself, self-deport, and then we'll give you a break a little bit, maybe give you a little bit of bump towards the head of the line if you come back legally. Great process. It's working. Our own RAV correspondent was at Mar-a-Lago last night for the Big Blue Bash and caught up with Tom Homan, who had this to say. Watch.
I'm proud to serve with him. First of all, I'm proud to serve with the greatest president of my lifetime, Donald Trump. But look, I was an ICE agent. I was a Border Patrol agent. I wore those uniforms. I wore those badges. I love each and every one of them. The first time I retired, I told them I'd never leave their six. President Trump came back. I'm back with them again. I pray for them every night, go home safe. They're American heroes. Every day they're out there. They wear a Kevlar vest. They strap a gun to their hip to protect America. And it's a shame that you got Democratic members on the Hill that want to compare with Nazis and racists. And because of that hateful rhetoric, the assaults are up over 1,000%. Well, let me say this. ICE and Border Patrol are going to be out there tonight. They're going to be out tomorrow. They go out there every day to do what President Trump promised American people he's going to do, make this country safe again.
It's really interesting, Ron. There, I believe there's 2 laws in the book. So you can't interfere with a federal agency or an agent doing its job, and that's what the border agents are trying to do. It's literally a crime in the criminal code. I'm not sure why we're not arresting all these folks.
Well, there is impeding federal officers in the pursuit of their duties. There's specific impeding charges at the border for traffic checkpoints, et cetera. And then there are many, they talk about, thousands of percent increase in assaults against ICE agents. There's also a commensurate rise in the prosecution, referrals, and acceptance for criminal cases and arrests in the interior in places like LA, Chicago, and all the other places that we're doing this work across the nation. So yeah, we have unprecedented support from the Department of Justice. You and I would like to see more in some of these cities when the locals can't not or will not help us. We are sometimes outnumbered. And retreating and breaking contact and living to fight another day, using video evidence and referring those cases later is sometimes the most safest, appropriate tactic. But yeah, you're right. We need to have consequences for people who get in the way of lawful law enforcement activities. We're all for the First Amendment right to protest in the United States, but you can't put hands on the police. You can't barricade their car. You can't make their lives miserable by getting in their way and pushing them and shoving them up.
You can't throw a Subway sandwich at one of them and then get acquitted. Get acquitted. Final thought.
Yeah, we can't hire the juries. We can only do the best we can in helping select them. But yeah, nonsense knows no bounds with regard to activist judges or activist jurors.
Correct. And that, that it makes sense. You can arrest them all you want, but if the judge is going to, put a restraining order on cops, it won't matter one bit. Ron Vitiello, good having you on, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, 2.5 minutes. We'll be right back.